Lake Monticello, the old fisherman back with you again. We're going to try to catch some more of these white perch. Kind of windy again. I'll tell you what, it seems like every day I come out here, the wind is charging. I tell you, it's cold too. It's probably in the 30s. Yesterday it was in the high 70s, now it's in the 30s. So, what a crazy, crazy weather. Still supposed to get warm up into the day, but the wind is charging. Oh, there's a bite. There's a bite. There's another bite. Monticello white perch. You got to love it. I don't know what they're going to do today, but that's a good sign right there. The wind's so bad in that speaker, I think I got one snag hook. Ain't too bad. That's a pretty nice white perch. Got him in about the bottom of the lip on the spoon, so I don't know what they're going to do today. Tried the video yesterday and it was so windy, it was awful. I don't even know if I'll be able to publish them. You can't hear what I'm saying for the wind whipping through the speaker. Hopefully today ain't quite as bad. You know, you never know. I make these videos and I go through all of this. I'm gonna take this hat off, I don't look so stupid. But I go through all this stuff and then I think I got a good video, and then I get home and the wind's blowing through the speaker so bad. So a lot of times I can't put some good ones on because it's too windy. But anyhow, we're gonna give it another shot today and see what happens. See if we can catch some more of these white perch while they out here spawning on this hump. And hopefully we can get some nice ones. You never know. Some days they're small, some days they're bigger. You never know what to expect from day to day. I mean, you can tear them up one day, the next day they're like they left the lake. So we're gonna give it a shot. See what happens. I tell you though, another day loving life. Beautiful day, Monday morning. I'm fishing with a gut shrimp and a Mr. Crappie combination today. And that's usually what I like to start off with. Both of them on there and see which one they're gonna bite the best. There's one. There's one. There's one. How big he is. Old Loney's back out here with me again. Can't get rid of Loney. You probably want to take this fish off the hook. He's not a bad perch. He's a little bit over half a pound. Put him in the box, you know. I like them pound and quarters, but you can't ask for a pound and quarter every time you drop it down. I tell you what, Loney is hungry today. I can tell. The joker's been diving down after my plug. Hungry. Loney, y'all better stay away from my plugs. And I'm telling you, you get in trouble. I'm gonna have to put a whooping on y'all. But old Loney, I tell you, I got a cat where I clean fish at the house. I don't even know whose cat it is, but I tell you what, if I start cleaning fish, he shows up. I can guarantee you on that, just like them birds. These animals follow me. I'm the meal ticket. I guess if I had a fella give me steak every day, I'd go at his house. All right, white perch. Beat on the boat, see if we stir something up in this hole. It's a little funny here this morning already. I want to bite. I'm at 58, though. That might be the reason I'm a little too deep. Probably going to have to move back to the top of the hump. And these jokers here are funny now. If you don't get right where they're at, you won't catch them. There's one. There's one. White perch, Lake Monticello, Monday morning, February 2017. Golly. Fishing with Steve and loving life, and that is a bird delight right there. I'm telling you. Look at him, Loney. Come here. Can you get him? That joker's got his beak sticking upside my boat there. What they do is they'll swim under my boat and they hover under my boat. They think I don't know they're under there, but they under there. As soon as I throw this fish out there, he comes out like a torpedo. There he goes. Gone. I guarantee you, now that fish took off pretty fast. I see the bubbles. He got it. He got it. That Loney don't miss him, buddy. If you could get that joker on a daggone leash and put him down there to catch you some fish and bring them back to you, you wouldn't need a hook. You catch them all. That's the darndest thing I ever seen. Apparently they can't get all the way to the bottom. That's the only reason I think they ain't cleaned the lake out. Apparently they can go back 25 foot or so. That's why them fish probably don't want to come no shallower than that, because they know them birds can reach them. They gonna get down there deeper. They know them birds don't get down there 50 and 40 and 50, 60 foot deep. But I have seen on my fish finder, these loons, hooks come under my boat at 25 foot. When I know they're diving under there, I look and I can see them streaking through. So I know that they can go 25 foot. There's another white perch. I tell you what, I say it all the time, and I'll keep saying I do love catching these white perch. Lord have mercy. They're gonna have a party when I quit fishing. They're gonna have a perch party. But until then, they better watch themselves. Mr. Steve's gonna try to catch them. Drop it back down. Right now, we done moved out here in 60 foot of water. I ain't caught them in 60 foot of water the last couple of weeks. About 2 weeks ago, I was catching them in around 60 or more. I got kind of pushed off the side of this thing. Heck, you never know. They'll have to be all over that 60, 70 foot. You never know. You got to try before you know. We'll drop down, see if one bites it while I work back in, but they might be, them big ones might be out here deeper or something. You never know. Don't think a white perch won't get 80 foot deep. I know they get 80 foot. I've caught them 80 foot. Clear the water and deeper the fish. That's a fact. You got clear water, you better fish deeper. Because they down there deep. Look at that. 61 foot and the wind's blowing. I bet you threw that speaker again. I don't know what I'm going to do with the speaker situation. I need to get some kind of a remote speaker I can put behind the wind and hook to this thing. I'm sure they got it. I just old-fashioned. I don't know about all the modern technology. I'm doing about as good as I can do to get that phone to record videos. But one day, if this thing becomes a success, one day I'll have the right equipment. And I'll be sitting up here like Bill Dance. I'll never forget Bill Dance with a hand-controlled trolling motor. That's what got me thinking about this hand-controlled trolling motor, catching bass, watching Bill Dance on TV. I loved it, and I always will love looking at his crazy stuff. And I guess I'm a kind of carbon copy of Bill Dance in the White Perch version. And I love it. But anyhow, hey, keep it simple. Go fishing, have as much fun as you can with simple, and be happy in life and don't be stressed out in debt. If you can afford it, buy it. If you can't afford it, don't buy it. That's all I got to say. And you'll be a happier person. Another 3/4 pound white perch from Lake Monticello. And Looney is upset because I didn't throw it to him. But they know now, I tell you, those birds, when I pull a little tiny fish up, they come up real eager. They know now what size of fish they might have an opportunity of me throwing back. They know it. Them birds are smart. I got a little parakeet at the house. It's the same way. That sucker can whistle Andy Griffin's song from start to finish. It's unbelievable. I can start whistling in the middle of that song and he'll blend in the next note. And that's what I call smart. So don't underestimate a bird. They might have a tiny head and a tiny brain, but them suckers are smart. I can assure you that they hear and know what's going on. They know who's on the lake, they know who feeds them, and that's who they go to. There can be 5 boats out here and Looney gonna come to me. Kind of like your dog knowing who the master is. All right, now I got to talking again. I always do it. I always will. I guess I can't focus when I talk. But I done got way, way deeper than I want to be. But that don't mean I won't catch fish. What it means is that wind blow, when I turn the boat, it's going to whip that speaker, sound through that speaker and make it sound awful, which aggravates me to death. But like I say, until I step up and play and get something better equipment, that's what it's going to be. I do this as a hobby. I don't make a dime off of it, and that's the reason I don't buy these fancy cameras. You know, Social Security don't pay a lot. Retirement ain't much, so I'm on a budget. Everybody needs to be on a budget. So let me tell you, everybody needs to be on a budget. If you're so used to buying and spending, and you can't get out of that habit, and then you start putting all this stuff on credit cards, and you're gonna be a miserable person. I'm gonna tell you, that's not the road to happiness. It's not the road to happiness. You just get deeper in that rabbit trap, buddy, let me tell you. All right, white perches, I moved back up here now. I'm on 58 foot, and we're going to work from 58 foot back on this spawning ground back out here, or feeding ground, whichever it may be. I can assume all kind of things, and I can say all kind of things, but it's either a feeding ground or both, spawning and feeding. Because I done caught a bunch of perch off of this spot, let me tell you. You can catch them probably all around. It'll probably several more spots like this on this lake. But it's about a 100-yard area in here that's been a humdinger. And it's just a good place. It's just a good place. This is not a big lake. You can see one end or the other, no problem. So it's not a big lake. If you never, but I think the salvation for these perches is all them deep water trees. You never catch them out. You only catching a few that comes out in them trees to feed and spawn. The majority of them perch, I think, live in them trees. Yeah, probably a lot of you catfish, big bass, everything lives in them trees. When they back this water up, there's nothing but a forest out there in the gullies. They didn't cut that out the gullies. They just cut the top of the hills. Where it was down in ditches and gullies and stuff, they didn't cut. So it's been many years ago, so now it's nothing but just full trees rotting, petrified up, and not little branches, just big humps sticking off of it. And that's what you got down there. So, but that's just a prime place for the fish to live. Prime place. Now we're getting a little shallow. We're 54 foot. I get right back here, I'll be on 48, and that might be where they at. Doggone wind's gonna do it to me again today. I can see it. I tell you, I cannot come out here without the wind blowing. Today it's coming out the northeast. It's either at the southeast coming straight down that way, or the northeast coming straight down that way. If it would come out the west, I could tuck in behind these hills and make a decent video. And the audio wouldn't be so bad. But no. Some days it comes out the south, and then my camera's straight into the sun, and it's a glare on me. But there ain't nothing I can do about it. Because if I turn the boat to get the camera out in the sun, then the wind hits it. So it's kind of aggravating doing these little clips. Not to mention my ears are freezing right now. I need to have my stocking hat on. But I try to do this, try to show you how. Some days ain't as easy as others. It ain't all about dropping that and winding fish down up all the time. It's about finding them and then catching them. So right there's a nice one. Right there's a nice white perch. Catch a few alone, they scatter, they ain't as thick as they were last. If the water's real cold, I can hammer them better and catch them more and quicker. But when the weather is warm, it's a whole different story. And so you got to deal with all elements to be able to fish like this. And you got to be a professional operating this boat. I'm gonna tell you right there, you got to be a professional operating this boat. Windy, even me, when I go to talking, have you noticed I get all unfocused and all out of whack. It's hard to operate a boat, with an aluminum boat especially, because the wind pushes an aluminum boat a lot harder than it does a heavier boat, fiberglass. Fiberglass boats, you can hold on to place a lot easier than you can this giant boat. But the giant boat, I think, has got the benefits of clanging, with the waves clanging up under the boat. I got the benefits of making noise and bringing fish. So, you give and take. One boat's better for the wind, the other boat's better for the noise. Believe it or not, if you people don't think noise on deep water fishing don't help you wrong. Stripers, man, that noise works. I found that out. My wife used to like to get on the back of the boat, splash around on a float many years ago, and when they do that, it brings them rockfish in. So you never know. You can jump out of a boat. I remember one time it was hot, and I said, "Man, I'm about to burn up." I jumped out the boat, got cooled off. I come back in, it was fish all up under the boat. So you never know. And I know right there that noise works sometimes on stripers. In deep water, I ain't gonna say get in a cove somewhere, jump out and splash around, think you're gonna catch fish. You're gonna run them off. I'm talking deep water. But these fish ain't doing nothing. I'm gonna have to find them where they at. I'll move around out here, but some days they're just better than others. Yesterday I pulled in out here and tore them up real quick. But it was windy and the audio is so bad on that film I might not even put it out there. It's aggravating trying to listen to it with wind whistling through the camera. I'm gonna pull back up here and we'll see. I see a few fish coming through at 52. Pull back up here on this 48 foot and see if we can get something to bite. But I do believe that them bigger perches down there are laying the eggs. And when a fish is stressed out and laying the eggs, a lot of times they will not bite. There he is. There he is. Come in here, little perch. Come in here to daddy. I think that's a nice one. I hope that's a nice one. I think that's a nice one. Yes, sir. That's fairly, ain't no whopper, but he's almost a pound, 3/4. So he's a nice one. Looney, go on. Don't you dare get my plug. I got 3 loons sitting here waiting for a fish. I hear guys shooting geese over there on the hill, so you might hear a couple shotgun blasts. Apparently, I think they're on the land though, they're not on the water. I don't think you can shoot geese on this lake, but on Wednesdays and Saturdays. I think they're on the land. They got pastures around this lake. A lot of times I think they grow stuff to feed the geese and they set up there and shoot geese on the pastures. All right, fishes, we need some fish. Let's see if we can get some called in, do something. Tell you what, this is not going to be a good day and I can feel it. I can feel it. The wind's blowing, and it's not going to be a good first day. I don't know why. It's probably because it's been too warm. That's one. It's been too warm. It needs to get colder. And when I say it needs to get colder, I don't mean overnight. I mean for a couple of days it gets down. But you know, we in February, and it don't look like we're going to have a winter. We had a couple of days, a couple of weeks there, about a week, maybe below freezing. For a couple nights, but it's last year it was cold. The fish bit too, but last year in February I was tearing them up. I mean, I was dropping that cat 2 at a time about as fast as I could drop them down. That was something. But this year's another thing. Now, before I started getting back on these videos and making movies, in December it was fast. So I should have been filming more in December. For some reason I give up on doing it. I done a couple last year and I just didn't do it. One reason I wait later to start filming because earlier, like November, December, 1st of January, you got a lot of fellas come out here bottom fish for these perch. And I don't like making a video sitting beside a boat. And this lake's so small, a lot of people get out here. I mean, you next to people. And a lot of them quit when they quit biting that spoon, jerking it up and down. Colder the water, and later on they quit biting that. Earlier in the fall, they'll bite that spoon, jerking up and down pretty good. And most people fish like that, one club. But I put the jigs on, and I don't jerk because the more you jerk, the more apt you ought to twist the jigs up. And that's the reason I do what I do. And that's in February when they're getting ready to spawn, they'll hit these jigs a lot better than they will that spoon. You notice how hard they ever catch one on a spoon. So it's something about that jig that they'll hit better. And of course, the colder the water, the slower you move it, and the more they bite it. So I remember years ago when I didn't do the jig there for a little bit, and I would do that real soft spoon jerking and catch them. just kind of twitching instead of jerking way up high. But them largemouths now, when it's not real cold, they like it. They're a reaction biter, and that thing jerking hard and wobbling back down, they'll hit it. You can catch more largemouth jerking that spoon harder. So these guys that wants to catch largemouth out here jerking. If I was aiming for largemouth only, I probably would do that. I haven't caught any largemouth much lately. They definitely done moved in the spot, getting ready to get in them creeks and ditches and stuff. They're in a shallower version of this right now is where they are. If you want to catch largemouth, you do better probably 5 to 12 foot of water, I think probably. That's where they probably getting ready to do. They're doing the same thing as these perch, but at a shallower version. And they like them drops too. You get a hump that comes up and drops straight off. They'll lay up there on top of that thing inside that. They sandwich their bait together. They get in position, and when the bait comes by, they can push them things into that wall, and that's what they do. They like drops and heels and stuff. Anything that's abnormal that comes in. Crappies do too. Listen, you don't have to have a brush pile to catch crappies. If you find a place that nose up and goes right back down, they'll get right on that. I've caught many crappies. A lot of people don't know that. In this lake in the summertime, in July, out on the mean water points, on places that come up and drop right back down. They'll get out there, it might be a few logs or something out there, but they'll get out there and you can catch them crappies yo-yo in a jig or cast it and let it go down and reel it in. But I like yo-yo in that jig, up and down, jerking it with ultralight 4-pound test or 6. That used to be my style. Pinpoint them, get right on top of them and catch them straight under your boat. I can watch them on the fish finder come up and grab it. And that's what I like. That's the kind of crappie fishing I like. I'm not into all these spider rods and all that. You get one rod and you fish. You can prove to me you can catch them with one rod. I really think, this is my opinion, they need to stop that spider rod stuff. I know these crappie guys love it. I've done it before. I'm not condemning it. But I think if they worried about the limit on crappies, then they need to stop letting people fish with 20 rods at a time. I think if they go out and have tournaments where you can't use but one rod, then you would find the best fishing. Anybody can set a daggone, almost like a dent behind a boat. With all them jigs and stuff, you can't catch them with a dozen rods around the boat. Something wrong with you. But I think, in my opinion, they ought to have tournaments now with one rod only. If you fish over one rod, you disqualified. Then you would see who the best fisherman is, and because that's my opinion. Everybody's got an opinion. But anyhow, enough about that. The crappie spider rod guys is gonna be hot at me for saying that. Hey, I did that for a while. I enjoyed it, but I just think if you're gonna have a tournament, you worried about dropping limits to. Now I think they only keep 7 crappies in a tournament. Why not just say you can't use one rod? Then you can see who's the best fisherman is. But they won't do that because that's too hard to do. That's too complicated. They got to use one rod like a normal fisherman. In a bass tournament, you don't see them out there with 20 rods. And that's the way crappie tournaments ought to be. Eliminate all them guys that don't really know how to fish. They just know how to put a bunch of rods down. They ain't got a real clue how to do what one rod. And some out there, buddy, can take them things and shoot them up under them docks and stuff, or take a fly rod. Now that's fishing. But going in the middle of the creek, dropping down 20 rods, sitting there waiting with a dozen minnows on at one time, that ain't for me. I heard that Ed Dukes say that catching white perch wasn't his thing. Well, let me tell you, fishing with 20 rods ain't my thing. So, he said it about me, I'll say it about him. All right, that's another white perch with one rod. One rod. But he's a little He's a little one. All right, little perches. I know you're slow, but we tried. I'm gonna let y'all go to find some more. I done talked enough. I don't know how the wind's doing in the speaker, but we'll find some more in a minute. See ya, Steve Comalander, Lake Monticello.